Husband brings pregnant mistress into the house and kicks out his wife. But later they meet again, and he's in shock. It was a cold and rainy night when Sophia arrived home. The day had been exhausting, but she was eager to see Gabriel, her husband of over 10 years. They had been through so much together, ups and downs, fights and reconciliations, but they had always managed to find their way back to each other. However, that night would be different. Something dark seemed to linger in the air, and Sophia felt a chill run down her spine as soon as she walked through the door. She found Gabriel in the living room, with a strange, serious expression on his face, as if he had already made up his mind about something. Beside him stood Julia, a beautiful young woman whom Sophia didn't know well. She had seen Julia a few times at Gabriel's work, but always thought she was just a colleague. Sophia was still trying to grasp what was happening when Gabriel broke the silence. His voice was cold, with no trace of love or compassion. He stated, plainly and bluntly, that he had made a decision. Julia, the woman beside him, was pregnant with his child, and he had decided she was the one he wanted to be with. Those words echoed in Sophia's mind, hitting her like a punch in the gut. She held herself together, trying not to break down right there. But the pain was overwhelming. What was he saying? How could he do this? After everything they had been through together, Sophia felt as though the ground had disappeared beneath her feet. Gabriel continued, now with an impatient tone, as if he wanted to end the conversation quickly. He explained that Sophia needed to leave, that he had already packed her things, and that a taxi was on its way, as if it were all just a matter of logistics, as if his wife were nothing more than a disposable item. Sophia looked at Julia, who didn't dare to meet her gaze. Maybe she felt some shame, or perhaps she had just been silently waiting for this moment, knowing it would end this way. Sophia wanted to scream, to ask why, to make Gabriel understand the pain he was causing, but deep down, she knew it wouldn't change anything. So, in a final act of dignity, she held back her tears, lifted her head, and walked out without saying a word. She left behind a life, a home, dreams, and a broken heart that seemed to shatter with each step she took away from that place. As the taxi took her through the city streets, Sophia stared out the window, watching the lights blurred by the rain. She knew her life would never be the same, but she also knew that somehow she would need to find the strength to move forward. After weeks of feeling lost and directionless, Sophia decided to leave her house to clear her mind. It was a sunny morning, but her heart still carried the weight of the cloudy days she had lived through. She stopped at a cafe near downtown, trying little by little to rebuild her routine and her world, even if it was still in pieces. When she left the cafe and walked toward the parking lot, distracted, lost in thought about everything that had happened, she tripped over a small stone and, in the impulse to steady herself, bumped into a parked car right in front of her. "Are you okay?" asked a firm but gentle male voice. She looked up and saw a man with a calm expression and deep eyes that regarded her with a mix of concern and curiosity. He had a slight smile, as if trying not to embarrass her over the small accident. I'm so sorry," Sophia said, trying to pull herself together. "I was just distracted." "No problem at all," he replied, reaching out a hand to help. "I'm Leonardo." Sophia took his hand, and they exchanged a brief but intense look. For a moment, it felt as if he could see all the pain she was hiding behind that timid smile. When she stood up, she noticed that one of the straps on her purse had come loose and clumsily tried to fix it. "I can help with that if you'd like," he said, taking the purse and easily adjusting the strap. Sophia laughed, a laugh that felt almost forgotten. Leonardo had an energy that somehow put her at ease, as if that small gesture of help was a kind of care she hadn't received in a long time. "Thank you, Leonardo," she said, a bit more relaxed. "I guess I've been a little distracted lately." He looked at her face, not intrusively, but noticing the tiredness in her eyes. Then he made a proposal that, in that moment, felt like an unexpected but welcome invitation. "I've got my car here. I can give you a ride if you'd like." It doesn't seem like a great day to be alone, you know. Sophia hesitated for a second, but something in Leonardo's sincere manner made her accept. He opened the car door for her, and as soon as they settled in, they began to talk. Contrary to the awkward silence she'd expected, the conversation flowed as if they'd known each other for years. "And you, what do you do?" Leonardo asked as he drove through the quiet city streets. Sophia sighed, remembering the baggage she carried. In a few words, she summed up part of her story, not going into too much detail but enough for him to understand she was going through a tough time. "I've been through a similar situation myself, you know," he said in a supportive tone. "Sometimes life feels like a puzzle where the pieces just don't seem to fit. But little by little, you start finding a new way to put it all together." Those words struck Sophia deeply. She looked at Leonardo with admiration and surprise. It was rare to find someone who understood her pain without judgment, without rushing. The conversation continued, and Leonardo shared his own experiences, his personal battles, the moments he too felt lost and had to find a new path. During that drive, which seemed in no hurry to end, Sophia felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Leonardo was a stranger until a few minutes ago, but in that exchange of confidences, he became a kind of unexpected friend, someone offering support without expecting anything in return. When they reached her destination, he parked the car and looked at her with a gentle smile. "You know, Sophia, you're stronger than you think. Sometimes, pain teaches us to look at life in a different way. And maybe this is just the beginning of a new story." Those words stayed in her heart as a reminder that, despite everything, she still had the strength to start again. With a sincere thank you and a hug that felt like a gesture of hope, Sophia said goodbye, feeling that this chance encounter was more than just a coincidence. Sophia felt the weight of loneliness growing heavier each day. Gabriel, her husband, was increasingly absent, spending nights away, saying that work demanded more of him. At first, she believed him. After all, Gabriel's work had always been important, and she was proud of that. But over time, his absence became more frequent, and his explanations began to feel hollow. She found herself alone at home, surrounded by a silence that once felt pleasant but now seemed suffocating. Without Gabriel's presence, the walls of the house felt cold and empty. Sophia spent her days with no one to share a conversation, a meal, or even a look of companionship with. The days dragged on, and the nights were even harder. She tried to fill the void by reading books, watching movies, but nothing could distract her for long. Each time the clock marked another hour without news from him, her heart tightened. One afternoon, determined to get out of the house, Sophia decided to meet up with some friends. She knew she needed someone to talk to, even if it was just a vent. They listened attentively, and after a few minutes, one of them, Anna, gently suggested, "Sophia, maybe it's time for you to think about going back to work. It could help you keep your mind busy and give you a new sense of purpose, you know." Sophia fell silent, reflecting. It had been years since she worked, as she had left her job to support Gabriel and take care of the home. At first, she was certain she had made the right choice. But now, hearing Anna's suggestion, she felt a spark of hope. Maybe a job really could be a way to regain control over her life, to find a new source of joy and fulfillment. Another friend, Carla, enthusiastically supported the idea. "And you've always been so talented, Sophia. Remember how dedicated you were in your previous job. I'm sure you still have all that energy and capability." Her friend's words touched Sophia deeply. They saw qualities in her that she had forgotten over the years. Their support brought back an old memory of what it felt like to achieve something on her own, to have a goal to pursue. "Maybe you're right," Sophia finally responded. "I really do need to do something for myself, something that makes me feel alive again." That night, when she returned home, Sophia found herself imagining what she could do. She thought about her skills, everything she had learned before she left work, and felt a spark of excitement, albeit a timid one, ignite within her. The idea of returning to the workforce was intimidating. but it also held the promise of something new, a path she could walk on her own, regardless of Gabriel's absences. It was there, between memories and expectations, that Sophia made her decision. She was determined to start over, to rediscover herself. She knew that work could be exactly what she needed to keep her mind occupied and maybe bring back the joy that had been lost amid so many absences. It was a sunny morning, but Sophia was far from feeling as radiant as the day. She looked out the window, her thoughts tangled. She felt trapped, suffocated by a shadow she couldn't fully identify. That shadow had a name, Gabriel, and although he was always around, there was something about his presence that made Sophia feel like her own dreams and desires were slowly fading away. Gabriel was an imposing figure in her life, a caring partner, but at the same time, someone who unintentionally dominated the space and decisions around them. He helped her with everything, but that also meant he was always in control of everything. Sophia, in turn, would end up giving in, without realizing how much this was undermining her own voice and will. Paula, a longtime friend, noticed that Sophia was different, more introspective and less radiant. Paula was someone who had always fought for her independence and knew how to recognize when someone needed a helping hand to find themselves again. She invited Sophia out for coffee on a chilly autumn afternoon. Seated at a small table in a cozy cafe, sipping warm drinks, Paula looked deeply into Sophia's eyes and spoke with a voice that was firm yet gentle. "Sophia, I feel like you're fading. Your light is growing dimmer. I understand that you love Gabriel, but have you ever stopped to think about how much you've lost yourself in this relationship? Don't you think it's time to find your own light?" Paula's words hit Sophia like a cold breeze that sent a chill through her. She had never thought of it that way. Was she really fading away? Doubt began to fill her thoughts. The next day, Felipe, a mutual friend, joined them for a chat. He was one of those friends who was always ready to offer support, but also to give that necessary nudge when someone hesitated to make an important decision. He listened to Sophia's concerns, and with the empathy of someone who understood the value of an authentic life, he suggested that maybe it was time for Sophia to fly on her own. "Sophia, you have incredible talent and wonderful ideas. I remember you talking about starting your own business, or taking that course you've always wanted. I think it's time to put that into practice, to remember what you wanted before Gabriel came along. I'm not saying you should stop loving him, but maybe you should prioritize yourself a bit more, you know." Sophia listened to her friends attentively, feeling a mix of fear and hope. It wasn't that she didn't want to be independent. Perhaps she had simply forgotten how. Sophia sat on the couch, hands clasped in her lap, her head bowed. She tried to control her breathing, but her chest felt tight, as if each heartbeat was echoing an old, deep pain. Gabriel stood in front of her, his eyes fixed on some spot on the floor, unable to look her in the eye. The silence between them was so thick it seemed to fill the entire room, until finally, Gabriel sighed and broke the silence. "Sophia, I need you to understand," he began, his voice low, almost a whisper. "This hasn't been easy for me, and I know that what I did is wrong. But there's something you need to know." Sophia looked up, tears in her eyes. She loved him deeply, and despite everything, she felt that she deserved an explanation. It hurt to know about the betrayal, but what perhaps hurt more was the fact that he still had something to justify, as if there were a reason for the unforgivable. Gabriel continued, "I always wanted to be a father, Sophia. I always imagined a life where I'd have children, a family. You know that." He paused, trying to find the right words. "But over time, I began to realize that maybe this wasn't possible with you. That maybe you couldn't give me the family I dreamed of so much." Gabriel's words fell on Sophia like a storm. She had never thought that this would be the reason. She knew there were challenges in her life, knew that there might be difficulties, but she always thought he would stand by her, no matter the limitations. "And you think that justifies it?" Sophia's voice came out choked, almost a whisper. She forced herself to look at him, trying to find the man she thought she knew, the one who had once promised to love her despite any difficulties. Gabriel took a deep breath, hesitating. I know it sounds cruel, but I felt incomplete, Sophia. With each passing day, the dream of having a child seemed more and more distant, and that pain grew inside me. I didn't know what to do with it. Sophia felt a mix of pain and disbelief. She knew he wanted to have children, but she had never imagined that this desire could be so strong that it would lead him to seek someone else. She tried to organize her thoughts, but everything felt like a storm in her mind. After a while, Gabriel continued, I made a mistake, Sophia. I made a huge mistake. But I need you to understand that it wasn't just about betrayal. It was about something I felt was missing, something I thought I could never have with you. Sophia felt a tear roll down her face, but she took a deep breath and tried to keep her voice steady. And did you ever think that maybe there were other ways to handle this? That we could have faced it together? Sophia looked out the window of her old home, feeling a mix of nostalgia and determination. The morning sun illuminated the world outside, but within her was a shadow that wouldn't fade. For months, Gabriel had insisted that she needed a change. He saw the sadness in her eyes, a reflection of the weight she carried on her shoulders, and knew the time had come for her to take action. You can't go on like this, Sophia, he always said, with a tone of concern. Life is too short to stay trapped in a place that no longer makes you happy. And somehow, his words began to echo in her mind, like a call for freedom. After many nights of reflection, Sophia finally decided it was time to change. With a pounding heart and a mix of anxiety and hope, she began to pack her things. Boxes were scattered around the living room, each filled with memories. Photos of happy moments, souvenirs from trips, and even objects that seemed to have a life of their own. As she touched each item, she relived laughter and tears. But now she was ready to leave it all behind. It was time to create new stories. Gabriel, always by her side, helped with organizing. He encouraged her to choose what was truly important and to let go of the rest. These are just objects, Sophia. What matters is what you feel in here, he said, placing his hand over her heart. With each item she decided to pack or discard, it felt like a weight was lifting off her chest. Finally, moving day arrived. Sophia sat in a corner of the living room, surrounded by boxes and furniture covered in white sheets, like ghosts of the past. The air was filled with a scent of nostalgia, but also of renewal. As she looked around the house that had once been her home, she felt as if she was saying goodbye to a part of herself. Yet, at the same time, a new energy pulsed through her veins. It was the promise of a future full of possibilities. When she arrived at her new home, a small apartment in a vibrant neighborhood, she felt as if she were stepping into a new world. The walls were bare, but the light streaming through the window seemed to invite her to fill them with life. She took a deep breath, inhaling the fresh scent of new paint and the faint echo of her footsteps. Everything around her seemed to whisper, "Welcome to your new beginning." In the days that followed, Sophia dedicated herself to turning that space into a home. Every corner of the apartment reflected a new version of herself. She chose colors that made her smile and decorated with green plants that brought life to the space. Gabriel helped her hang pictures on the walls, and together, they laughed as they reminisced about the jokes they used to make about picking out furniture. While arranging her books on the shelf, Sophia realized she was surrounded by possibilities. The life she had left behind was now just a chapter in a larger story, a story she was writing herself. With each new day, the feeling of freedom grew, like a flower bud slowly opening to the sun. Sophia looked out the window of her new home and saw people passing by, each with their own stories. She smiled, feeling that she was now part of something bigger. The move hadn't just been physical. It was an internal transformation that propelled her to live with more intensity, to pursue her dreams, and to rediscover herself with every step. And with that, she knew that the best was yet to come. On a bright spring morning, Sophia walked through the city's central square, absorbing the vibrant energy of the place. The trees swayed gently in the breeze, and the aroma of fresh food from street vendors mingled with the scent of flowers. After months of reinventing herself in her new home, she was learning to appreciate the little moments, to savor life in its essence. But as she admired a beautiful yellow flower, fate decided to surprise her. Across the square, Leonardo, an old college friend, was standing in line to buy a coffee. He had once been one of the most important people in her life, but time and circumstances had pulled them apart. Now, there he was, so close that it felt as if the universe was conspiring to bring them together again. When their eyes met, a smile lit up both of their faces, as if no time had passed. "Sophia?" Leonardo exclaimed, still unable to believe he was seeing his friend after so many years. Her heart raced at the familiar sound of his voice. He approached, and soon they were wrapped in a warm hug, as if this reunion were the answer to many unspoken questions. After exchanging a few words, they decided to sit on a bench under the shade of a large tree. Conversations that had once felt distant now flowed naturally, as if they had just spoken the day before. They talked about their lives, the changes they'd gone through, the challenges they'd faced, and the dreams they still held on to. Every shared laugh was like a bridge taking them back to a time when their friendship was pure and full of possibilities. As the days went by, that accidental meeting blossomed into something more. They began to see each other frequently, exploring cafes and parks together, taking sunset walks, and rediscovering the city they both loved. With each encounter, Sophia realized that her connection with Leonardo was deepening, like roots intertwining beneath the surface of the earth. It was a feeling that was both comforting and thrilling. There was something special in the way he listened to her, as if every word she spoke was precious. Sophia felt seen and heard in a way she hadn't experienced in a long time. Leonardo felt the same. Each conversation with her brightened his days, bringing a glimmer of hope he didn't know he needed. The stories they shared became a reflection of their individual journeys, but also of a new path they were beginning to walk together. One afternoon, as they strolled by the edge of a lake, the sun reflected on the water, creating a display of colors. Leonardo stopped and looked into Sophia's eyes. "You know, I always thought life was made of meetings and goodbyes, but you made me realize that some meetings are the beginning of something incredible." Sophia felt butterflies in her stomach hearing those words. It was as if he had put into words what she was feeling, something she had been hesitant to acknowledge. From that moment on, Sophia and Leonardo's friendship transformed into an even stronger bond. They didn't just share laughs. They shared dreams and fears, building a safe space where they could truly be themselves. There was a palpable energy in their encounters, a connection that transcended a simple reunion between friends. Over time, they started talking about their deepest dreams. Sophia revealed her desire to open a small flower shop, a place where she could spread joy through flowers. Leonardo, in turn, shared his yearning to write a book capturing the stories life had told him. Their mutual support became increasingly evident, and the idea of dreaming together felt as natural as breathing. What began as a chance encounter was now transforming into a cherished chapter in both of their lives. Each meeting, each laugh, and each conversation became building blocks in creating something lasting. The special connection they were cultivating was like a garden that blossomed a little more each day, a beauty that grew slowly but vibrantly. As the days passed, Sophia and Leonardo discovered that love could bloom in unexpected ways. And though they hadn't yet spoken aloud about what they were feeling, there was a quiet understanding between them. What was growing was more than friendship. It was a deep bond that united them in a new beginning, a new story. Fate had brought them back together, and now, together, they were ready to explore everything life had to offer. As the days turned into weeks, the bond between Sophia and Leonardo deepened, forming a solid and vibrant connection. It was a relationship built on respect and care, values they both held dear. They supported each other's aspirations and encouraged each other to face life's challenges. This new dynamic not only brightened Sophia's days, but also brought a sense of renewal to Leonardo's life. who had been carrying the weight of being a single parent alone until then. Sophia knew that Leonardo's relationship with his daughter, Eva, was an essential part of who he was. She admired the way he spoke about the little girl, his eyes lighting up as if she were the most precious thing in his life. "Eva is my greatest inspiration," Leonardo often said. For him, each day with his daughter was a new opportunity to teach and learn, and Sophia wanted to be part of that beautiful story. With a heart full of courage and a bit of nervousness, Sophia decided it was time to get closer to Eva. On a sunny Saturday, Leonardo suggested a trip to the park, a place Eva loved. "She'll love spending time outdoors," he said, his enthusiasm easing Sophia's nerves. When they arrived at the park, Eva was playing on one of the slides, her laughter echoing like music in the air. The little girl, with her golden hair and curious eyes, seemed so full of energy and joy that Sophia couldn't help but smile as she watched her. "Look who's here, Eva," Leonardo called, gesturing toward Sophia, who approached cautiously. Eva looked at Sophia, a bit wary at first, but soon the curiosity in her eyes outweighed any hesitation. "Hi, are you Daddy's friend?" she asked with a shy smile. Sophia knelt down to be at her level and replied, "Yes, I'm Sophia, and I'm very happy to meet you." The rest of the day was filled with laughter and play. Sophia joined Eva on the swings, pushing her to go higher, and they shared moments of pure joy. With every laugh that echoed, Sophia's tension faded a little more. She was starting to feel that she could truly be part of Leonardo and Eva's life. In the weeks that followed, Sophia and Eva began to build a relationship of their own, full of discoveries. Sophia brought new games and stories, while Eva taught Sophia about the world of a child, how to find fun in little things and see beauty in every moment. Their growing bond was something special, a connection blossoming amidst laughter and play. Leonardo watched with a heart full of joy. He saw the happiness in Eva when she spent time with Sophia, and the way his daughter lit up at the mention of her name was a clear sign that they were building something meaningful. Sophia was becoming an important figure in Eva's life, and he knew that was a gift for both of them. One afternoon at home, Sophia decided to prepare a special snack for her and Eva. The two headed to the kitchen together, where Sophia taught Eva how to make chocolate chip cookies. Eva was thrilled, wearing the pink apron Sophia had brought for her. Flour flew everywhere, and laughter filled the air as they ventured into creating a delicious mess. "You're a fantastic helper, Eva," Sophia said, smiling as she watched the little girl focus on her tasks. "Did you know the best part of making cookies is eating the raw dough?" Eva's eyes widened, thrilled by the thought of a small adventure. "Really? Then let's try it." They looked at each other, sharing a magical secret, and soon they were licking their fingers and laughing together. After a few minutes, the kitchen was filled with a sweet, inviting aroma, and Sophia felt as if she was creating memories that would last forever. When the cookies finally came out of the oven, Eva beamed at the sight of the golden treats. They sat down at the table, and as they nibbled on the warm cookies, Eva looked at Sophia and said, "You're like a cookie fairy." The little girl's words touched Sophia's heart in a way she hadn't expected. That simple statement was proof they were connecting in a way that went beyond mere friendship. As time went on, Sophia's presence in Leonardo and Eva's lives became increasingly significant. She wasn't just a friend to Leonardo. She was also a nurturing figure that Eva needed. The respect and care that had always existed between Sophia and Leonardo were now reflected in the bond they were building together as a little family. Sophia realized she had found a special place in their hearts, and each moment with Leonardo and Eva was a new page in her story of love and friendship. And with each passing day, she felt more at home, surrounded by laughter, affection, and the warmth of a newfound family. After months of transformations in her personal life, Sophia felt that it was the right time to return to her career as an architect. This decision wasn't easy. It required courage to start over and face the fear that had held her back for so long. Yet, the new phase of life she was experiencing alongside Leonardo and his daughter, Eva gave her strength. With their support and a renewed sense of confidence, she knew she was ready to take on the world again. Sophia remembered the days when she dreamed of designing buildings that touched the sky and homes that truly felt like sanctuaries. Architecture wasn't just a job for her. It was a passion that pulsed within her soul. So, she decided it was time to dust off her old projects and take new steps toward the future. With determination, she began to assemble an updated portfolio, revisiting the projects she had set aside, like an artist reclaiming her best works. She knew the road would be challenging, but her first opportunity arrived sooner than she expected. An old friend, who was also an architect, invited her to join a team working on a major revitalization project in an historic neighborhood. It was an incredible chance, not only to showcase her talent, but also to reconnect with a community she admired. Sophia accepted with an open heart, her spirit rejuvenated by the excitement of this new adventure. Here's the translation of the provided text into U.S. English. In the following days, she immersed herself in work. The meetings were intense, but every interaction with the other architects and engineers made her feel like she was finally in her place. Sophia began to stand out for her creativity and attention to detail. She proposed innovative solutions that delighted the team, such as a community space that integrated art and nature. Each idea she presented helped her regain the confidence she had lost over the years. Sophia dedicated long hours to the project, but she didn't mind. What had once felt like a burden became a renewed passion. Amid the hustle, she remembered when, as a student, she dreamed of seeing her designs come to life. Every plan she drew and every model she built brought her closer to that dream. It was as if, with each stroke, she was not only sketching physical structures, but also drafting a new chapter in her life. As she progressed in the project, her self-esteem began to blossom. She started to realize that, in addition to her technical skills, she had a special talent for connecting with people. Conversations with community residents about what they wanted for the new space were enlightening. Sophia listened attentively, recording their ideas and concerns, and each interaction made her feel more connected to who she truly was. The respect and affection she earned, both from her team and the community, encouraged her even more. After months of hard work, the day of the final project presentation arrived. Sophia's heart raced intensely, but now it was a rhythm of hope and excitement, not fear. As she entered the conference room, she found the attentive gazes of her colleagues and community members. She began to speak, presenting her ideas with confidence. Using charts, models, and even mock-ups, every word that left her mouth was a declaration of love for architecture and the community. When she finished, the room fell silent. Then, applause broke out, and the smile that formed on her face was a pure expression of relief and joy. People were visibly moved by the vision Sophia had for that place. For her, that moment was not just a professional victory. It was a confirmation that all her efforts were worth it. The confidence she had regained made her stronger than ever. With the project approved, Sophia saw her dream coming to fruition. Construction began, and she became a vital part of the process, closely supervising everything. As the walls started to take shape and the plans she had envisioned began to flourish, Sophia felt that she was finally at home. Each new day, she left her residence determined to make a real difference in the lives of those around her. Throughout this journey, Leonardo and Eva always supported her. After school, Eva would often appear at the construction site with a radiant smile, bringing snacks and flowers she had picked from the garden. Those moments were precious. Sophia loved sharing her enthusiasm with the girl, showing how the things she designed were becoming realities. Life was weaving together harmoniously, and the happiness she felt was contagious. Over time, the project came to life and became a landmark in the city. Sophia had reinvented herself, not just as an architect, but as a woman who rediscovered herself amidst challenges. She learned that true architecture goes beyond walls and structures. It's about building connections, cultivating trust, and creating spaces where people can thrive. At the end of it all, as the inauguration of the community space approached, Sophia sat in the new park she had helped create. She watched the children playing, the residents chatting, and the flowers beginning to bloom. A feeling of gratitude washed over her. She realized she had regained more than just her career. She had rebuilt her life, her self-esteem, and, most importantly, her love for what she did. And by her side would always be the family she had chosen, who supported her every step of this exciting journey. Once upon a time, there was a man named Gabriel. He was a typical city dweller, with a job that kept him busy and a routine that seemed never-ending. But there was something missing in his life: happiness. Gabriel was married to Julia, a sweet and caring woman, but lately, joy seemed to have drained from their days. The two had grown distant, and the connection they once had turned into arguments and uncomfortable silences. One morning, while walking through the city, Gabriel ran into Sophia, an old friend. What should have been a simple reunion quickly turned into a moment of reflection. Sophia was radiant, with a baby bump that showed she was expecting. She had always been the light in Gabriel's days, but now, seeing her pregnant, he felt a mix of emotions: nostalgia, joy for his friend, and above all, regret. In that instant, Gabriel realized what he had lost. The love he felt for Julia was genuine, but he had let the problems of everyday life overshadow his feelings. When Sophia noticed Gabriel's gaze, which mixed sadness and admiration, she smiled, but her expression quickly turned serious. Gabriel, unsure why, felt his heart race. He decided to open up, telling Sophia about his dissatisfaction with his marriage, the loneliness that consumed him, and how seeing her made him reflect on his choices. With hope, he approached her and said, "Sophia, you have no idea how good it is to see you happy. I realize now how much I've messed up by letting my life with Julia deteriorate. I still love her, but I don't know how to fix things." However, Sophia's reaction was very different from what Gabriel expected. With a firm look, she replied, "Gabriel, you destroyed your marriage. I can't be the solution to your problems. I'm happy, and I'm about to bring a new life into the world. You need to resolve your issues with Julia before you think about me or anyone else." Sophia's words echoed in Gabriel's mind like a sad refrain. He had sought comfort, but found only harsh truth. He realized that in his search for something more, he had lost what he already had. Gabriel felt like a boat adrift, without direction, struggling against the current of his own emotions. The weight of guilt and regret settled in his heart. Sophia's rejection was a devastating blow, but it was also a call to action. He knew he needed to return to Julia and fight for the love they once had. However, now he faced an additional challenge: how to fix what seemed irreparable. Gabriel said goodbye to Sophia, promising he would try to make things right with Julia. It was time to confront his fears and open himself up to the possibility of rediscovering happiness alongside his wife. As he returned home, he felt the weight of the world on his shoulders, but also a spark of hope. What seemed like an end was, in fact, a new chance. Gabriel decided it was time to leave the hurt and resentment behind. He wanted to win Julia back and show her that, despite their mistakes, their love was still strong enough to weather any storm. And so, with a heavy heart but a determined spirit, Gabriel walked into his home, ready to face his reality and fight for a future he believed was possible. Gabriel's story was just beginning, and the journey of reconciliation promised to be filled with emotions, challenges, and above all, hope. Sophia, Leonardo, and Eva were a close-knit family, radiating happiness wherever they went. Their life was like a colorful painting, full of laughter, play, and heartwarming moments. Sophia, with her charming smile and loving nature, was the light that illuminated their home. Leonardo, her devoted partner, was the pillar of strength and support, always ready to offer a helping hand and a word of encouragement. Together, they ventured out on park outings, shared laughter during dinner, and created memories that would be cherished forever. Eva, their daughter, was a lively little girl full of curiosity. With her bright eyes and curly hair, she ran around the yard, exploring every corner, always closely followed by Sophia and Leonardo. The family loved gathering in the backyard for picnics, enjoying sandwiches made with love and fresh fruit. Eva's laughter echoed in the air, and happiness overflowed in every little gesture. But someone was watching from a distance, someone who felt a pang in their heart at the sight of that pure joy. Gabriel, amid his regret, stood far away, almost invisible. He walked through the city streets, his thoughts a storm of emotions. Gabriel sat on a park bench, where he had a good view of the family that could have been his. He couldn't help but feel the pain of loneliness as he watched Sophia interact with Leonardo and Eva. The scene was both beautiful and devastating. Sophia played with Eva, making her laugh in a game of hide-and-seek. Gabriel remembered the moments he had shared with her, the way her eyes sparkled when they talked about the dreams they had together. There had once been an imagined future full of possibilities, but now he found himself trapped in a cycle of lament and solitude. Regret gnawed at Gabriel from the inside. He remembered the choices he had made, the words left unsaid, and the opportunities he had let slip by. While Sophia enjoyed every moment with her new family, he wondered if he could ever reverse his mistakes. The weight of his decisions followed him like a shadow, and the happiness he once had now felt so distant, like a star shining in the sky, just out of reach. In that moment, a burning desire blossomed in his heart. Gabriel wanted to approach her. He wanted to tell Sophia that he loved her, that he always had. But the pain of rejection was still fresh in his memory, and he feared that his words might cause more pain than joy. The thought of interrupting the happiness she had found with Leonardo filled him with anguish. As he watched, a wave of emotion washed over him. Gabriel decided that instead of letting despair consume him, he could learn from his mistakes. He could find a path to self-acceptance and, perhaps one day, win back Sophia's trust. With heavy breaths and a racing heart, he stood up from the bench and walked slowly, each step reflecting his inner reflections. The sun was beginning to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Gabriel made a promise to himself. He would not surrender to sadness. Instead, he would fight to become a better person, someone worthy of being loved again. He knew he couldn't change the past, but he could shape his future. And so, with the image of Sophia's happy family still fresh in his mind, he began to tread the path of transformation, hoping to one day reconnect with the love he had let slip away. Gabriel's story was not just about regret, but also about the possibility of redemption. The happiness he observed from afar served as a beacon, illuminating the way he needed to follow to regain not only himself, but perhaps one day, the chance to rewrite his story alongside Sophia. I hope you enjoyed today's story. If this story touched you, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications so you won't miss other exciting stories, like this one on Universo Yen Palabras. Leave a like and share it with friends who appreciate stories of twists and triumphs. The next story is sure to move you as well. Until then,